All right, you're watching the Sports Roundup Show with Mike Nelson and Cody Parks. This is our NBA segment. Of course, so we're a little bit almost done with the NBA regular season. Normally, this time of year, we're getting ready for the playoffs, but this year in 2021, we still got a month to go. But it's looking pretty good right now with how the season is going. Not for everybody. Starting off with the Lakers, it has been a really rough few weeks. The Lakers are 2-4 without LeBron and Davis, if I'm not mistaken. And we're still waiting to see when they're going to come back, right? LeBron looks like he's still going to be out 3 more weeks or so. And then Anthony Davis is going to be reevaluated sometime this weekend, but still really no timetable for his return.
Mike, and it's getting tough as far as his playoff seeding. After Wednesday's loss, Mike, now the Lakers are only 4 games away from the 7th seed, and 7 through 10, Mike, you play in a play-in tournament.
Yeah.
So if the Mavericks maybe go on a little winning streak, and the Lakers keep losing, you never know because the Mavericks right now are in the 7th seed. Um, and who would have thunk of Mike? You come off winning a championship, playing. They was first. Remember, Mike, before the injuries happened, they were first for a long time inside the West. To now, because it was rumblings the other day talking about it. That's why I'm bringing it up. There's a chance that the Lakers may fall into the play-in tournament. Who would have thunk it, Mike?
Yeah, right now the Lakers are actually tied with the Nuggets for fourth, right? So they're actually tied. The Nuggets can actually jump them in the next few days. Then the Trailblazers are only half a game behind them. So the Lakers could easily fall to six probably this weekend if they continue to lose. And then that seventh spot, which nobody wants to fall to, Dallas has won a couple games in a row. I mean, you look at the Nuggets, the Blazers, they both won four in a row. They're both playing really good. Even the Mavericks are starting to play good. The Lakers are just really falling off. I mean, nobody's really surprised, right? Because their two best players are out, and they both of those guys create most of the scoring, right? I mean, the Lakers are now 29th in the NBA in terms of scoring since LeBron and Davis are out. They're only averaging 99 points a game scoring because they just don't have enough, right? They don't have those two guys pretty much carried everything throughout these last two seasons.
Mike, and that's a good point because if you think about this, Rob Pelinka, the GM of the Lakers, he put the team around the players around LeBron and AD. So they got shooters, of course. They tried to get players who can play the center because of AD. Defensive players who can just play defense. So the LeBron and AD, you don't really have to worry about locking players down. They try to get Dennis Schroeder, somebody else who can at least play make to help out LeBron. So when LeBron and AD is out, these players' other flaws show. You have the Montrezl Harrell, who's now getting double teamed, even though he has been playing well. But his shooting percentage the other night, he scored, I think, 20 points, but he went 6 for 18. So 18 shots to get 20 points. Um, Wesley Matthews, the KCPs, these players can't really score no more because they're not getting open shots with no AD or LeBron. So the real roster starts to show when you just build around two players and then they both are out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Lakers. It's really unfortunate for them that this year they decided to change the format to the play-in, right? Because in a normal year, if you were top eight, you would make the playoffs. And I think the Lakers would be top eight. I don't think they would fall out of the top eight, even if they were to continue to lose. And I think they would be able to somehow finish in the top eight. But now this year with the play-in, the top eight doesn't really guarantee much, right? You really got to be in the top six because the 7 through 10, anybody can win those playing games. You're just playing one game. If you lose, you're kind of well, you're not you're only the 9 and 10 teams, right? If you lose, you're out. But with the 7 and 8 teams, they do get a second chance to make the playoffs, even if they lose that first one. But I really think this year is just going to be it's going to be tough, right? If they fall to the 7 through 10. The Lakers are going to have to play like an extra week and then have to play in the playoffs against a rested team, and I think that's going to be a huge disadvantage.
Mike, that's a key point. Arrest the team because they play those play-ins, if I'm correct, that Tuesday or Wednesday, and of
Yeah,
course
Tuesday
playoffs
through
start.
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, so playoffs, start the weekend, so they don't have enough rest. Also, Mike, you never know what could happen in that one game playoff. Buzzer beater, injuries, anything. Let's say, Mike, they drop the seventh, and let's say the Warriors get the eighth spot. I mean, Mike, we know you don't like the Warriors. It's okay, but I will give Mike his credit. He does call it fair most of the time, and he sees how good sometimes the Warriors can be, and you never know what can happen. Steph Curry can go for 60. Wiseman, somebody, Anthony Davis get hurt, then so
Yeah, that would be a bad matchup, I think, to be honest, in a one game series, because the Warriors usually they step it up, right? I mean, last year, Curry was out, so that you got to discount that. But when he's in there, he could be the best in the NBA, right?
like
So, you know,
it won't be a blowout. You can at least say that you don't like the Warriors, but it won't be a blowout. So
no, for sure not. Yeah, the well, although the Lakers did blow the Warriors out earlier this year, right? They played
but the
that was
Warriors
actually
got one
right before.
too.
What is it?
The Warriors won one too though.
Yeah, the Warriors did come back and then beat the Lakers, but there was a blowout. But I do think in an actual playoff game, the Warriors just always seem to play great in the playoffs, right? We saw that before everything shut down, or even I'm saying going back to 2019, right? A lot of people didn't think they were going to make the NBA Finals, and they did. Of course, they lost to the Raptors, but they still made it to all the way. They were dominant in the playoffs. So I think in the play-in, Lakers and Warriors, the Warriors would have a chance to win that one, even if it was here in LA.
I'm with you. So yeah, to your point, you just don't want to finish 7 through 10. As you were saying, AD is starting to ramp back up his activities. So hopefully he's getting back soon. Andre, Mike, how this how you know the Lakers have been just injury riddled this year. LeBron, of course, never gets hurt. High ankle sprain. They estimated 46 weeks. He's trying to get back. AD, he's been out for at least a month now. He's definitely trying to get back. But Andre Drummond, you sign him first game, first half, not even the second half, the first half, second quarter, he gets injured, Mike, and he's out tonight. He might even be out Sunday. They were saying versus the Clippers. I know he's out tonight versus the Kings. So Lakers have bad luck. They always say to win a championship, it's all about luck also because you got to stay away from injuries. And so far, Lakers can't do it this year.
Yeah, I mean, and then obviously the Lakers didn't have much of an off season too. I think it's probably showing that's why they've had a lot of injuries as well. Other teams had plenty of time to rest. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough. I think it's going to be tough for the Lakers to somehow get back into the contention for the championship if they fall that far down, right? I mean, they could still make it all the way, but it's going to be a huge surprise if they do.
Let me ask you this, Mike. Do you think okay, so injuries happen. Like I said, when LeBron and AD, we was first place. But let's take that away. Do you think Rob Pelinka still put together a good team? Because he should have maybe known with less rest time, injuries and stuff could happen instead of just building around just shooters and defenders for LeBron and AD. Should he have built a team differently?
Yeah, I think there's some moves that I think they should have done differently. Maybe should have kept a couple more guys from last year. I think they shouldn't have got rid of that many players, especially after winning a championship. Right, the Lakers almost nobody gets rid of that many players after winning a championship. So that was for me. I think they went a little too far. I think in trying to change the team when you maybe you didn't have to, right? Because they just won a championship.
I'm with you. If you guys are watching this right now, go back to one of the past shows. I said that you got to go back to like November or something. But I
Yeah.
said that they got rid of too many players. Because Mike, you see it right now, real quick to switch to football. Tampa Bay, they're bringing back all 22 starters, Mike, in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. And I was saying this, I
I'm a
want.
little surprised with that though. Well, I mean, they obviously restructured Brady's contract, but a little surprised with that.
So we're gonna see if that works. But I'm just saying, I remember saying this. Sometimes you at least run it back. Maybe if not every player, like you're saying, at least bring back some. Uh, but we'll see when LeBron and AD come back. A couple weeks away, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then talking about other teams, the Denver Nuggets with that Aaron Gordon trade last week, they've been looking really good. They've won four in a row. They defeated the Clippers last night. They were winning the entire game. The Clippers made it close near the end, but the Nuggets really showed that they're back, I think, in the contention again. I know they had a slow start this year. They made it to the conference final last year, so I think we can't discredit what the Nuggets are doing right now.
Mike, you said this last week. If I'm correct, yeah, it was last week's show.
Yeah.
Uh, that they were your favorite. Who did the most during the trade deadline? Um, would you say who would you say right now, Mike, if it's not the Lakers, would come out the West? Who would you say? Would it be the Nuggets? Because I'm thinking the Nuggets, Mike. That's my opinion.
I'm still gonna go with the Utah Jazz.
Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Jazz and Nuggets might be playing for the conference final at the end. I think that maybe those two teams might be that'd be a pretty good series because they played in the first round last year and it went 7 games. So I think that could happen in the conference final.
And Mike, both of them got better. Jazz not move wise, transaction wise, but the players just got better.
Yeah.
And then the Nuggets, of course, with the addition of Aaron Gordon. Mike, funny story. I don't know if you saw, but the reason why he's wearing number 50. Did you see the reason why?
No, I didn't see why. Why?
Because he has the most 50-point scores inside the slam dunk contest, but he's never won. So it's kind of petty, but
yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
but it's pretty.
Yeah,
funny.
I know that's kind of funny. He never won the dunk contest. It's a little.
And has the most 50 points scores.
Yeah, that's a little surprising, but yeah. And then also talking about a little bit about the Clippers. You know, they made a trade for Rajon Rondo. But they just have not looked good these last few weeks. They lost to Orlando Magic on Tuesday. That was a huge shock. And then, of course, last night they were pretty much dominated from start to finish. Did come back there near the end. But what do you think about the Clippers? Do you think they're a worse team this year? I think they've taken a step back this year. Even though I wasn't a big fan of Doc Rivers, but I do think they might have taken a step back with Ty Lue this year.
Mike, I agree with you because that question I just asked you, if you would have asked us. If I would ask you, you'd ask me. We going back and forth. But if you would have asked us that question, this is March. I say December before the season start. I would have probably chose the Clippers if it wasn't the Lakers. I don't know about you, but
yeah. Oh, at the start of the season, yeah, Lakers and Clippers for sure. Yeah.
So
on
now,
paper, yeah.
And then now to see Paul George, he started off good, but these injuries have been hurting him. As you mentioned, we was talking about this before we came on air. Lou Williams, he didn't play good this year. That's why they got rid of him. They're trying to get Rondo to at least get some championship mentality. Serge Ibaka hasn't been playing too good. That acquisition. So
yeah, they didn't work out this year.
The Clippers hasn't worked out. Mike, let me ask you this. I was talking about this with someone the other day. Do you think Kawhi might leave this summer?
Yeah, I think he is. I think if they don't get past the second round, I think he's gonna leave. I really think he is. Yeah.
Because he doesn't really care about hometown that much. He just wants to win. He cares about LA. Don't get me wrong. He wants to definitely play in LA, but he wants to, in my opinion, he wants to win more than the lifestyle of LA.
Yeah, I think it's a strong possibility he could come to the Lakers next season, to be honest. Because I think, he doesn't want to leave LA. I think he obviously he grew up in Riverside, which is near LA. But I do think he wants to stay here in California. I don't see him going to the Warriors, and I definitely don't see him going to Sacramento. So I think he would choose between the Clippers or Lakers. Obviously the Clippers will be able to offer more money by quite a bit, right? They can give him the Supermax contract. But if he cares about winning and winning many championships, he would probably take a team friendly deal, $10-15 million a year, and come to the Lakers. I don't know what you think about that.
Mike, first of all, Mike has to be their accountant because I don't know how much money the Lakers are going to. Because Mike, so who's not going to get re-signed? Because
probably Montrez, right?
They can't re-sign Schroeder or Drummond then, because
and probably Montrez either.
Yeah.
I could see the three of them not being on the Lakers next year.
Marc Gasol, maybe. Well, he has a friendly deal. It's 2 years, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that would be crazy. It was rumors the other day that Brian Windhorst of the ESPN said LeBron was recruiting Steph Curry during the All-Star game.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. When I saw that, I was like, nah, because they don't want to take the shine away from like their NBA hype and everything, and I wouldn't see that happening.
I could see Steph Curry trying to recruit LeBron, in a couple of years, but no, Steph Curry is never going to leave the Warriors. I think he's going to stay on the Warriors forever, for the rest of his career.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe LeBron, of course, he wants that last game to play with his son, see how bad the Warriors could be.
Yeah.
Son, if the Warriors get that high draft pick. But yeah, I'm with you. The Clippers, they're down bad. They're down terrible, Mike.
And it's a little surprising because I really thought with Ty Lue they were going to take a step forward, but they've definitely taken a step back, even defensively. Right? They look worse defensively this year, And Paul George, this is not, it's just not living up to what the contract he received at the beginning of the year, which is, I think, is a huge mistake. I think they should have played a year out and then maybe thought of keeping Paul George, because now you're stuck with him for what, 5 years.
I'm with you. Paul George doesn't like the criticism, so hopefully, Paul George, if you're watching this, but uh, you don't get too mad. But uh, yeah, it's looking kind of bad for Paul. Them injuries, like I said, he started off kind of good. He was motivated. He was saying, and he was playing good the first, I would say, a month or so. But yeah, these injuries, and then just without the even injuries, last couple of weeks, even before that, he wasn't playing too good. I wish that contract may have been a mistake. So that's why Kawhi is maybe looking like he wants at least a second partner. And yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting, because Kawhi doesn't want to go at it alone, right? He doesn't want to go to like a lottery team and try to make him win, right? Because I know a lot of guys, that's what they want to do. They want to be the star. They just want to be the whole thing. But Kawhi just is not that kind of guy. But I think Kawhi is kind of actually has to do that on the Clippers, right? Because a lot of times I notice the Clippers just give him the ball because there's really nobody else at the end of the game that can score, right? I mean, it's like Kawhi or they don't win, right? That's just how it is.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
All right, so I want to thank everybody for watching our NBA segment. Make sure you subscribe to our page. Have a good day, everybody.